So this is a message to the introverts. This is a warning. Don't use your personality as an excuse for not stepping into your calling and making an impact. Being an introvert can be your superpower if you understand your strengths and what value only you can provide. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how to build your business as an introvert. And believe me, I am CEO of the club. Hey, Goal Getter, I'm Angela.
And I'm Adam.
We help normal moms and dads chase after their big dreams
In a modern online world.
all while in the midst of raising kids.
In what we call the family hustle.
So a lot of times whenever I share my story, I always tell the part where I asked Adam, like, hey, I'm thinking about starting this thing. What do you think about it? And he was like, honestly, I think that you would be really bad. Like, that's not something I could ever see you doing, is running a business like this, and my first real way to bring in money was network marketing, and so whenever I thought about someone in network marketing, I thought about the cheerleader, I thought about the class president, who knew everyone and who was always talking to everyone. That honestly was my dad. And I am not someone who likes to talk to a lot of people. I certainly don't want to run a party, much less go to parties, and so whenever I realized that I could use my strengths as an advantage and build my business online, that is what helped me get the courage to actually start. If I couldn't have built my business online, I'm pretty sure I would have never even tried. And so this is a message to my introvert friends. So if you are not an introvert, then maybe this podcast can help you see behind the scenes of maybe some of your friends, some of your teammates who may also be introverts, and you're like, I just don't understand what's going on in their head. We are unique creatures who don't open up a lot and share some of the behind the scenes of what we're really thinking. But a lot of times introverts, or maybe this is just me, but I use my personality as an excuse for not taking the next step. I may have been called to do something, but it was out of my comfort zone. It required me to talk to someone I wasn't quite ready to talk to, or go to a new place. As an introvert, I don't like going to new places. I don't like talking to new people. And building your business, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. And a lot of times our extroverted friends are gifted in ways where they can show up with their big personalities and just shine in any environment. And so as an introvert, there are some skills that we have that I believe we can use to our advantage. And so this is an idea I've shared in another episode before. Sometimes I feel like if we understand our strengths and really lean into our strengths instead of trying to figure out how to improve where we are weak, then we'll make a better impact. We'll make more effort towards where we want to go. But so many times people are focused on where they're struggling the most or where they're the weakest. And so then they're just mediocre across the board. But what if you focused on what you're already good at and how to be the best in that area? Then don't you think you'd stand out a little bit more? And so first off, I want to tell you that being an introvert can be a superpower. And part of that is just understanding that you have a value that only you can give. And so understanding what value you bring to this table. And as an introvert, we are, as a group of people, we are known to be better listeners. We don't always want to speak, but whenever we feel called, like we need to speak up, we will. But I feel like as introverts, we are better at observing what's happening, and maybe before reacting without thinking, we observe, we process, and then we actually have something of value to share. And whenever we speak, then it can make an impact, because it's like, wow, that was really thought out. That's a great idea. I didn't think about it that way. And so thinking about how you can use your introvert personality as an advantage, and some of the things I'm going to be sharing, this is definitely me, and maybe I'm different, but I just know a lot of my introverted friends, they feel the same way. So running an online business really plays to my strengths because I like being at home. I like working by myself. I like being connected to a team, but I don't work very well. If we were all like in a building together, like all sitting at the table together, I would get no work done. And so I do better working on a computer, working on my blog, recording podcasts, talking to people one-on-one, better than big events, public speaking, parties, things like that. Those are not my strengths. But if I know my value and how I can show up differently and use my strengths to my advantage, then I can actually come at the problems or come meet my potentials in a different way that nobody else is. And so that is what I want you to think about. So the first thing is stepping out of your comfort zone. Being an introvert, a lot of times we are very comfortable with being by ourselves, but God didn't call us to be by ourselves. That's just true. We are better connected, and God created you to make an impact in other people's lives that only you can. I completely believe that. So you cannot hide in the shadows and step into your calling of who God created you to be. And he created you as an introvert. So you just have to understand, God created me this way. I have a superpower. How can I use this to help and impact others? So you have to fit all of that together. So the first thing that I believe that you have to do is you have to take baby steps outside of your comfort zone. And a lot of times, maybe this is everyone, but a lot of times introverts have a lot of social anxiety and they just don't like being in new places and things like that. And that is why I leaned on very, very hard of how and figuring out how to build my business online, because I realized one of my strengths was that I was very comfortable with social media. I was very comfortable with talking to people in text message, in Messenger, and now you can use voice messages and things like that. That I was very comfortable using social media and communicating that way because I felt like I finally had a place where I could share my voice, where I wouldn't even be able to do that in person, because sharing my story, sharing something, an insight or something like that, just sharing it with somebody takes a lot of energy as an introvert, but being able to share it on social media, it became a lot easier. And so it was a way for me to use my strengths of understanding social media to an advantage. And so I feel like that's one thing that really helped me a lot of times, because I am an introvert. I really, I do value one-on-one communication, and I value that one-on-one connection because I don't have a lot of connections. I'm not this big personality. And so I value that conversation that I have with that one person. Whereas, extroverts, sometimes, they're being pulled in a lot of different ways. They have so many people that they're talking to at one time, that they may not give focused attention on that one person. So that's something that you can think about, is how can I help that one person? How can I help my avatar? How can I help that one person who I'm here to serve? How can I speak to them that only they'll understand and hear? And how can I impact them the most? And so you can think about all this together in your messaging and how you want to show up and help them. Is it through blogging? Is it through podcasting? Is it through pre-recorded videos? Maybe you are an introvert, but you're great on live video. It can happen. Just think about, what can you do? How can you share your message in a way that they'll find it, they'll listen to it, and they'll react to it. So I believe small steps coming out of your comfort zone are what you need to do. And so one of the things that I started with was just writing. And so writing longer text messages and things on my wall, blogging, so writing, messages, talking to people through Messenger. And so I felt like maybe I didn't feel confident in speaking, but I could write, and that gave me a chance. As an introvert, I like to process, and I don't like to speak too quickly and things like that without thinking through everything. And so writing was a really good tool for me. And so I really love connecting with customers and potentials in Messenger, and I enjoyed being able to write my story on my on my wall and places like that where people could read it and they could understand maybe my background and where I'm coming from and my values without me having to speak in front of a whole bunch of people. So that's what I would say, is start with written communication. The next thing now is that I would say get your feet wet with stories. That's a way where you can get used to having your face to the camera. Whenever I got started, we didn't have stories. So I did pre-recorded videos, which were horrible, by the way. But I did pre-recorded videos. But I would say get your feet wet with stories. Start thinking about how you can show up every single day in stories. And that's a way for you to get comfortable with video and everything without there being a lot of pressure, because the best thing about stories is if you have a blooper or something like that, you can just reshoot it, and so it's not live, but it is a place where people can build that connection a lot deeper with you, and you can get used to sharing your story, sharing what you're using, sharing tips, sharing value, and it's not that scary. So I would start with stories. Now you can save these stories and put them on your Facebook wall. You can put them on your IGTV. You can put them other places, but I would start with stories and get your feet wet there. Now, another thing that I just started was podcasting. There's a couple benefits to podcasting. You don't have to put makeup on. You don't have to get dressed. You don't have to feel like you have to look perfect. And, you can edit it if you have a blooper or something. So it's kind of like the next thing. And the real good thing about podcasting is it's a place where you can create your own show. And so if you're thinking about like a long-term, if maybe you've tried blogging and you want to add another aspect to that, then I would say podcasting may be the next thing that you want to do if you're not ready to do live video. I've done video. I still do video. And I believe that video is the fastest way to grow that know, like, and trust, that you can show up in video in your stories every single day. But if you're creating long form content, which I talk about that a lot, long form content is where it's about 1,000 words written. It's a couple minute video. It's where you're sharing value and tips, just like I'm doing right now. You want to do that at least once a week. And so that's a way to build your brand, to really start attracting people to you, helping people in a way with leading with value. And podcasting is kind of a little bit easier for me, I think, than doing, like, I hate doing the YouTube videos because I can never get them looking right, but I feel like I can edit podcasts and I can make them sound like I want them to sound. And so if you're thinking about the next step, maybe the next step as an introvert, maybe podcasting, because you don't have to show your face and you still can provide that value that you want to share, but you can do it in kind of a behind the camera sort of way, not showing your face, but showing up with your voice. Another thing is if you wanted to position your podcast like this, is you could be the person who interviews other people. So you're not even in the highlight reel. You're kind of just like the navigator, because you're bringing people onto your podcast and letting them share and answer questions and everything. And you're just the person who's introducing your audience to these amazing people. And that's something that I think introverts are very, very good at, is highlighting other people. But because it's your podcast, you get the benefit of the followers, the subscribers. You get the benefit of being connected to these higher people who you're bringing onto your show. So that's another thing too. Podcasting does take a little bit more time. You need to have a little bit of knowledge to just knowing how to do the podcast. But once you get those skills down, then it's really easy to continue. So if you need help with podcasting, I'm actually getting my husband to put like a how to start a podcast PDF together, because I've gotten a lot of questions about how do I even start a podcast, and so I do it kind of myself. I edit myself, and everything, and I just do it on my computer, and it doesn't have to be hard, but podcasting is really taking it off, more so than it's a way for you to be found, because there's SEO, the search engine optimization, there's other things going on, and people who listen to podcasts, they feel so connected because you're in their ears while they're like doing other things, while they're driving to work or while they're folding the laundry. And so it's a way for you to kind of become their friend, even as an introvert, which that's kind of what you want to do. You want to find out what your angle is. And so I just wanted to plant that bug in your ear. If you haven't thought about it yet, is like, is podcasting something I should be doing? And so if you're thinking about long form content, again, I am a big fan of blogging, but I really like the idea of pairing a blog and a podcast together, which I think is really, really great for content marketing, for introverts, for growing your business online, really setting you apart and using your strengths to an advantage. So I hope that this helped you see how you as an introvert can totally dominate your market by showing up in only the way that you can and providing value to help your ideal customer, because that's how you're going to make an impact, is by helping them solve their problems, giving them tips and resources that you know can help them, and letting them know that you're there to support them and help them reach their goals.
Thanks for listening to The Family Hustle with Angela and Adam Parker. We appreciate you guys being here.
If you're listening, don't forget to take a screenshot and share it into your stories and tag us at Grass-Fed Mama.
Also, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your podcast player of choice. That helps other people find out about what we're doing, and it's the best thing you can do to help us grow the podcast.
Hey, goal getter, are you ready to stop having to chase after people only to realize they aren't even interested in what you have to offer? You spend months trying to build rapport and get to know them, and then they never seem interested in buying. What if you could attract your ideal customer to you and have them reaching out for more information about your business and what you have to offer? If this sounds like something you want more info on how you can put it into practice, join our Attraction Marketing Bootcamp, where we take 5 days to dig deep into discovering what your ideal customer wants and how you can be the most attractive to them through branding and developing a customer journey. Over the 5 days, you'll have worksheets and videos to guide you through this self-study. To learn more, head on over to grassfedmama.com/attractionmarketing. And now back to the show.